Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Christelle Martinette. What you're seeing is a slide from my course on how to read the oracle cards called La Vera Sibilla. These cards, as you know, are a welcome complement when using the tarot, and they really act as clarifiers. In this brief introduction, you'll see 4 cards I introduce in Chapter 3 of my course. These are shown as slides with information about what they mean and how to understand them. These cards are L'amante, the male lover, L'amante, the female lover, Ladro, the thief, and Leggerezza, the lightness of being. I hope you have fun getting to know them, because after that, you'll see a video on how to use these 4 cards and the last 8 cards that were presented in my previous video together, so you'll be able to practice reading for yourself and others. Write me below the video and let me know what you think. Enjoy! Hi, this is Christelle Martinette, and this is Lesson 3. And thank you for joining me and being with me up until now. So I have here in front of me the 12 cards that you know and have studied up until now. We have the 4 protagonists that are La Donna Maritata, the married woman, the domestico, the house domestic, the male lover, l'amante, and then the female lover, l'amante as well. And here you can see on this card, in this deck, there is the writing amate. Well, you probably cannot see that. Amatrice on the bottom there, yeah. And this is a deck that has that archaic word. So those are the protagonists, but then I'll show you, as I mentioned, they'll take on different roles. Then let's say the occurrences or developments, sorry, the changes, the verb phrase, the actions that take place. And here is the gelosia. And in some decks, in this deck, it's called gelosia. In other decks, it's called disperato per gelosia, desperate for jealousy. And we have the ladro, the thief, fedeltà, fidelity, the falsità card, lies, and then casa. Oops, the house. Whoop, the house. Let's see if I could tone this down. All right. House. Okay, then we have the outcomes. All right. And this is dispiacere, sadness, superbia, vanity, literally, and then Leggerezza, lightness, la leggerezza, sometimes it's called with the article. So now I'm going to first mix the cards and lay a spread of about 5 cards, okay, and see what comes out. And then I'm going to separate them again. Well, maybe the best thing to do really would be to have, like I said, so I won't mess you up. All right, let's have the people, the protagonists, the verbs, and the outcomes. All right, so now I'm going to choose out of these 4 cards, I'm going to choose one. The female lover, l'amante. Out of the verb phrases, let's say fedeltà, and then let me take another, because there are more cards here. Casa, the house, and then the last, superbia, vanity. Now, if we have these cards in this format very conveniently, okay, very conveniently because there are protagonists, verb phrases, let's say, actions and outcomes. We have the female lover is very faithful to the idea of her house, of her home. And this fact gives her pride. Okay, so in a reading we would say, the female lover takes pride in having a home and living in a home where everyone trusts each other, we could say, okay? Or we could say that her main objective and what she wears on her sleeve, her banner, is living with someone who is faithful to her. Okay, so there are many ways that we can say this sentence. Now, let's go and put these cards away and take another and another. Okay. And so I have the male lover, I have the cat, and I have dispiacere. And so I could typically say, he was untruthful and caused sadness, or he was sad. They mirror each other, so we could say the amante equals the sadness. He is sad because he realized she only told him lies. Okay, now let's take another. And we have the domestico, the ladro, and the leggerezza. Okay, now, the house domestic realized when he woke up that there had been a theft in the home. And that literally things flew away. Their goods, their riches, their wealth had flown the coop, as they say in English. Or we could say the members of the household, okay, we could extend it to that meaning, realized there was a theft, and it brought them all, they put aside their differences, and it brought them closer together. Okay, now I'm going to put these away and just take these last 2 cards. Donna maritata and gelosia, jealousy. We could say that since it was a verb, it's a verb phrase, this is a noun, something is missing. We would have to, when there is a piece of the story or of the spread that is not there, we need to imply from the cards that are surrounding them in the spread. So we would say, the mother really felt a pang of jealousy when she saw her child's father with another woman or flirting. Or we could say, this also means not simply jealousy, but it also means sadness. So we could say, the mother was very sad because her child was ill. The mother was very sad because her child had left home. The mother was very sad because she was left alone most of the time. All right, so now we're working towards a bona fide sentence, a reading, a complete sentence, a complete phrase, a complete concept. Now, I'm going to mix all of the cards, so you're going to have to bear with me, because what we're going to be seeing is a bunch of cards that are outside of their grammar category now. And take them this way. 5 cards I'm opening, okay? And let's say that we ask the question, oh, how is Tom with his new girlfriend? And I get this spread. I have leggerezza, then gelosia, lightness, jealousy, fidelity, sadness, dispiacere, and then pride or vanity. So on the face of it, face value, we could say, well, Tom and his girlfriend, they really are getting along. All they do is have sex. But you know how things happen when a strong passion is involved. Sooner or later, one or the other side to the couple feels that underlying jealousy, because they tend to believe that everyone wants their man or woman, when they are typically faithful, and that's what they're looking for. So it does make cause for sadness now and then. But all in all, the couple is a success. Now, this is a straightforward reading, okay? Now, if I take the 5 cards, you know that out of 5 cards there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have odd numbers and even numbers. We could say that we could read the coupling of 1, 3, and 5. 1, 3, and 5 would give us these cards. La leggerezza, fedeltà, and superbia. And we could say, although the couple is very passionate and it's a successful couple, and they have vowed exclusivity to each other, there is, and you read the second and the third, the second and the fourth, the even cards, and say there is an underlying theme of jealousy and sadness that runs throughout their relationship, as witnessed by their friends who listen to their respective stories. Probably because there's so much passion in their lives. All right, now, this is very basic, very simple. Now, when we have the spread, and I know there's a chapter for spreads, but I think it's important that we go along, because not everyone will want to purchase the entire course, and as we go along, it's necessary for me to show you how you have different opportunities to make connections. Say we, instead of putting them out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row, let's say we gave it, no matter how you look at it though, the fidelity is your main focus, and the fidelity is a card that will condition the other cards. So let's say let's put it this way, as a pyramid shape. Now you can see better the two cards that relate to each other, fedeltà and the leggerezza and superbia, gelosia and dispiacere and fedeltà. And if you look at it this way, when you move the cards around, you can see a better picture. You can perhaps even decide to read them 3 and then 3, with having the focus always on the fidelity card. So what do we have? We've got, yes, their relationship is full of passion, so much so that there's always an underlying jealousy between them. They joke about it, but I think that they both are very jealous. For the time being, there's no other person. And the idea of being faithful to each other does, in turn, either he or her, cause sadness because of that underlying jealousy. But all in all, I can say that their relationship is a success. So now you understand that superbia here can be synonymous of success. All right, now let's put these cards back, and let's say there are 12 cards. I'm going to give an extended reading. Let's say, we used 5. Let's put a spread out of 9 cards. 9 cards. So I'll mix them up, and I will, for the purposes of our exercises and examples, I won't count any cards that fall out of the deck just now. All right, so let's say that I mix the cards and I cut them, always cut with the left, and I overturn them. And we have 3 left, but let's say that is the rest of the deck. So you can see, just a second, I have my strange thing. I put the timer on, but I don't really need it. Now, here in the front, you can see, probably can see them fairly well. I'll turn we have the domestico, the ladro, domestico, ladro, and superbia. Okay? Then we have the male lover. We have la donna maritata in the middle, the mother or the wife, casa, house, gelosia, fedeltà, fidelity, and dispiacere. Okay, now, we have here the opportunity, since they are aligned, these cards, 9 cards, that we do have a focus card. We have the focus card and a vertical focus line. And we also have a horizontal focus line. Now, many readers like to use these 3 tiers, these 3 rows as there's thunder outside here in Rome where I'm filming this. Call it a past line, the present line, and the future line. I don't subscribe to that unless there are particular conditions or there is a visible progression in a development. And the same here. Past, the thunder, present, and future, vertically and horizontally. Now we still have a focus card, which is the donna maritata, the mother. Okay. Now, let's look at the protagonists for a moment. There's the donna maritata, and she's a protagonist. Okay. Now, there's also the domestico, and he's a protagonist, and the amante, who's a protagonist. So we may want to start our story, our interpretation, our intuition will bring us to use those three as protagonists. Now, we didn't ask a question. Let's use the story about Tom and his girlfriend, okay? So the question is, if Tom and his girlfriend, if their story's going very well, I wonder what his family thinks about it. Now, what typically you're going to see is the mother in the middle then. So you'll think, okay, that's a mother, and that's the mother of one of the two. But next to her, before her, I think this comes first. This is on the left, this is in the center. So we could say Tom's mother, and we know it's his mother because there's the house next to that. We could use that in a different meaning if we read it vertically later, but let's see if we can get through this reading right now. What does Tom's family think about her, about his girlfriend, Maria? All right, now, I'm going to start with a literal, at face value, what these cards mean. I'm going to say, well, at Tom's house, the situation has changed recently. They don't all get along. They're very vain, and I don't know if they care for Maria because she's from the other side of the tracks. She's not in the same social class as Tom. A little bit like West Side Story, the idea, Maria, I just met a girl named Maria. And especially Tom's mother, who has separated from his father, and she's living alone in the house because the father's not here. There's not a gran signore. There's not another male figure except for the domestico, who has already undergone a separation. She knows what it's like for a couple to be from the same social class. She has a real, she watches out for Tom. And she's the first to be very, very jealous of whoever he goes out with, whoever he sees. Right? Remember, this is going to be a literal interpretation, then I'll do another interpretation a la Christelle Martinette. Okay. Now, although she does believe, even more so now than in the past, in fidelity of the couple, she believes that Maria will probably make her husband very sad. Her beauty is very telling. She may have future lovers. I'm just worried about my son, Tom. This is what the mother's thinking. Same, I'm not Christelle Martinette yet. All right, so I'm you now, and I'm looking at some kind of other sort of connections. All right, so we have four corners. They could speak to each other in the technique of mirroring. These mirror each other. These cards mirror each other. These cards mirror each other. The same goes for the cross cards. This is a cross. These cards mirror each other, and these cards mirror each other. Now, we also have a diagonal from right to left, and we have a diagonal from left to right. There's a development towards the top, from the top downwards. Now, let's say that we see the corner cards. And we first see the incoming card, which is the domestic, and we look down to the sadness. Things are pretty glum, I guess is the word, are pretty sad, let's say, in Tom's house these days. There have been a lot of changes. There have been a lot of changes concerning fidelity. and let's say these two. And there was a period when they were very, very jealous, Tom's dad and Tom's mom, one of the other, but they parted ways and now they're a bit happier. They really are proud of the way they did that. They dealt with the jealousy. Now, the home life, Tom's family's home life, is characterized by an underlying theme of jealousy. Things have changed concerning fidelity in that home. And although there's much sadness, the change has been for the better. Now, let's go to the diagonals. In Tom's home, his mother is a very sad woman. She has kept her countenance. She has kept the family together, and that was a success, although she has undergone very, very difficult moments, jealousy of her ex-husband. They are separated now. Now, let me see. Now, you know practically these cards by heart in terms of their position. I'm Christelle Martinette, and I'm going to say, in Tom's house, there is a situation it's a matriarchal family, and the women in the family for centuries have been the persons who wore the pants in the family. So it's really the mother who Maria has to, whose heart Maria has to win over. And that will be quite difficult for her. However, what I'm feeling is that the fact that their status may change if they decide to marry, and they may decide to go live together when they do marry, that probably will be the best situation to win his mother's heart and all of the females in Tom's family, because it means a commitment. There's no room for a third party. Jealousy would not ensue, fidelity would be implied, and sadness would be at bay. The exit card, its sadness would go away. Okay. Now, summarizing that reading, I would say, well, since it is the mother in the family who is the person who wears the pants, it would be Maria's job to win over Tom's mother. And it will not be easy. The best route would be to get engaged right away. So that would be a commitment and keep both jealousy and sadness away. Now, let's try, and as you can tell, these videos, these spreads really aim to try to get you to learn the cards again and over and to imprint the meaning in your mind. I'm going to mix the cards and ask for another question. I'm going to ask a question that has nothing to do with love, even though the female lover, the male lover, there's not very many male protagonists, and we're limited with the number of cards that we have and that we know. So let's see if we could make it work. All right. Luann is having a difficult time. I'll give you the background of the story. Luann is having a difficult time on the job. It's been now over a month. She's having difficulties with some of her female colleagues, and she just can't put her finger on it, but she's very afraid of losing her job. She's afraid of jealousy. She's afraid that her companion, who's now she just has gone to live with, will be, the apple of somebody's eye there, because she's been feeling funny kind of business. They're treating her differently. What is going on in Luann's office? concerning this story. 5 card spread. Okay. Now, it talks about work, mind you, remember. And what is going on in the workplace? Because she has these fears of her co-workers. Now, what I have here is her companion, the man that she lives with. She's tending to think that there is someone at her office who may be jealous of her. And she's suspecting her boss. Okay, remember, it was a protector, a person who has under them, even in this case, other people. A foreman, it could be a male, a foreman, someone who has to supervise other people. And she's very sad because of that. All right. Let me be Christelle Martinette. I'll mix these cards again and open it with a different spread. This time I'll take 7 cards and a ladder effect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. Okay, like a pyramid. So if you want to call one a focus card, and typically these are not, we don't read reversals here. They don't have a reversed meaning to it. The reversal or the negative or the opposite of the meaning can be implied by the cards that surround it. So typically this will not be a success, but it will be a failure next to a card like that, like dispiacere. All right, so what do I have here? I have at the top, falsità. I've got fedeltà, domestico, amante, the woman, superbia, and dispiacere, sadness. All right, so what am I seeing? In this kind of spread, you would see that the main card would be let's say the theme. You could read this as the theme. That is falsità, lies. And so we could typically say what's going on is something behind her back. They are either planning something against her, or speaking about her to her supervisor, or in any case hindering her progress, her success on the job. There's something negative going on, and it has to do with lies. Okay, now there's also this card right under that could be read as both being a focus. So I could read this as colleagues are aiming to hinder her success and prevent her from making a career jump. Now, of course, I have the other cards as well. Sometimes, especially when you start to read these cards, the fewer the better, because it just creates confusion for you at times. Towards the end of the lessons, I'll come out with the longer spreads. When we have the video on the spreads, I'll give you an extended version, so you can see them, read them differently when you have practiced a little bit. And so what I'm seeing is that she's being undermined. Her efforts are being undermined by someone that she considers her friend, but in truth, they are not. We know that the domestico is always hiding something under his cloak. He has that. He could be a confidant in a negative manner, in the sense that the lady of the house gives him messages to give to her lover, and he is an accomplice, a partner in crime in this sense. And here someone is trying to undermine her success and talking behind her back, use that expression, to her superiors. And she may find that her career jump will be stopped, will be blocked because of this. And that's what's going on. So typically, if Luann comes to you and says, look, this, and she tells you that whole story, you come out and you say to her, well, I'm seeing that there's some kind of deception here. And there are people who are talking behind your back. There's something being hidden from you, and you're going to have you, and then, you see this fidelity, and you see this vanity, and these two cards may think, have you applied for a career jump? Have you applied for a new position that is, one step up in the ladder of the company? And if she says yes, you will say, because this is sandwiched, the career, the superbia, is between this woman is Luann in this case, and the sadness. You watch your back because they're undermining you. You might want to go around and find out a little bit of things, being a false friend and saying, I just get the impression that, or even invite them for coffee and say, how are you doing? You really have a nice new haircut. I really like that. And just being overly friendly. It's this strategy is something that I'll give you another example. My dad, when he moved back from the United States to Italy, was living in a sort of condominium type residences, and he had the ground floor, big garden. And so when you're living with those of you who live in that kind of situation know that you find all kinds of things in your garden, the children's ball hangers, clothes, fall off, and it's constant, okay? So monthly they had a meeting of all the condominium residents, and my dad, after the first time, said, please, 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 second time, third time, fourth, complaining. He got wise and he went to the next meeting and said, I really have to thank all of you for your collaboration, because I have to say the situation has greatly improved. Now, a buon intenditore poche parole, those who want to understand, meaning that it's a strategy that will make them know that you know, okay? So that is a strategy. And by me telling you this, of course, it also implies that you as a reader may have had to be around the block a couple of times to know human nature well enough to understand that not everyone is good, not everyone is bad, and there are the shades of gray just never end, okay? Now, let's go back and ask ourselves, if in that spread, there could have been any other interpretation, okay? If I look at them, I can say these two cards are in their connection, they're connecting. And these two cards are connecting, and I can say it's been going on, lies behind her back, and someone at her workplace undermining her has been going on for a long time. She has felt that, and this is what the cards are telling me. They are acknowledging Luann's state of mind. Okay, then I can see this, and I see these two, and if I put them in relation to one to the other, I say, but in truth, Luann really is going to be successful on the job ultimately. Then I take these two and I say, however, she needs to watch her back, because there are a lot of lies being mentioned or spoken concerning her, about her, and she just needs to get a handle on that. Now, although I didn't change the meaning very much, there is a different emphasis. In the first reading, perhaps, it was a definite, yes, there are people behind your back. In this is, she will ultimately be successful, and that is a positive. And yes, I see her being sad because of something. She has, her intuition tells her something's going on. And then, yes, there is, you have to watch your back. It's a different perspective. So when you're with a client, and even for yourself, The cards are made, and the cards in a spread fall in such a manner that literally, if you switch them around, the story takes a different turn. But the way you pair them up also makes you see one side to the story being more emphasized than the other. Okay? Now, let me take another question. I'm turning all of these cards upside down. I'm going to take another question with a different cut. Let's say, I'm overdue paying my rent. Last month, I asked for, I told my landlord that I had a client who hadn't paid, and that it would be difficult for me to pay for the next month, but then I had another payment coming in 6 weeks, so I would pay this month and next month's rent at the same time. But lo and behold, that didn't occur. So it's mid-month of the second month. What's going to happen? Cutting with the left. Simple. 2, 3. 3 cards. Right, we have sadness, domestico, and amatrice. Right, this could be, as we say, this could be a woman who has good intentions. Right? Now, what's going to happen is that the owner of the place, the landlord, is going to make her very sad, is going to make whoever, Mary, Susan, very sad. Every now and then my laptop shuts off, and so I have to start again. So I pull these 3 cards. The question was about the rent. What will happen 2 weeks into the next month? Well, what's going to happen is the landlord is going to really start pounding her for the money, and she's going to be very sad about that. But ultimately, she will be successful, because love also means success. She will be successful in giving, in paying the rent. Now, let's take the case that they came out differently. They came out differently. And we would read, although she had good intentions and she really did want to pay, the problem with the landlord was compounded by the end of the second month. That's what's going to happen. By the end of the second month, she's not going to have the rent. Okay. Now let's say that they came out differently once again. The landlord, domestico, the landlord is really giving her a hard time, and she just is trying to avoid her and until she's able to pay the rent, but she ultimately will. Now, in any case, depending on where the cards fall, that's what you have to give the focus to. The focus in this spread here is on the sadness, on negativity. The focus here in this case is on the landlord, and could mean, with the sadness and the positive at the end, a negotiation with interest. Let's say, I'll give it to you all next month, the third month, with interest. Okay, so the positioning of the cards is very, very important. Let's see about another question. Let's see our last question. Something that I did this morning. I had a little iron. I had an iron, and I went to go iron. It just didn't work. I brought it to an electrician down the block, and I have to go pick it up in a little while. And I asked if it's possible to fix it before getting another one. And she said, "Well, my husband's not there now. Can you come back this afternoon? He'll be the one to talk to." How will that develop? And then I'll let you know in the next video. Okay, 3 cards. Okay. Well, now we have the leggerezza, lightness. Okay, lightness can also mean not being prudent, not being careful, okay? And the donna maritata can also mean that something may go wrong, even though I brought it to someone who can protect, someone can fix it. Ultimately, I'm going to have to throw it out, all right? Now, if, again, I turned these two, and I really don't hope I throw it out, but I'll let you know with that. If I see it this way, and I'm saying that this is the husband, this is the electrician, this is the fixer, the man who's going to protect my iron, okay, ultimately, I'm really worried that I'm going to lose the iron, and I go to the electrician, and the electrician gives me good news, saying that this iron, I was able to fix your iron, and it's like new. And so then I'd be coming back, very happy about that. Now, just let me give you, there are 12 cards. Let me see if I could give a reading with all 12, 6 and 6, and see if I can throw that at you before we go to the fourth lesson. Okay. My nephew recently got married, but he got married before he was able to find an apartment with his new wife. And they've still been looking. It's been now a month, and I would like to know if by the end of June, I would like to know if by the end of June there will be developments. What kind of developments? What will happen by the end of June? Cutting with the left, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, I don't have a focus card because there's 6 and 6. I would have, say, 4, 4, and 4. So let's say this little story here would be the focus, and these are the complements, let's say. Okay? Now, what do I have here? If I want to read it that way, I'll take the 4 complements. The first complements here, I've got the female lover, the male lover, one on top of another, leggerezza, lightness, or imprudence, and sadness. They now, the couple now realizes that they took matters rather lightly because it's been a month that they have not been able to find a house. Then I have superbia, fedeltà, casa, and gelosia. The idea, although they just got married, and although they really thought, they expected to find a house sooner, casa and superbia, they had expected. They probably overestimated the difficulty, underestimated the difficulty of finding a house. What the real problem is that this situation where they both have to stay with their relative parents is causing difficult times for them. They argue, they don't have their free time, and what typically a couple needs. And then I have the other complement. So here we have a donna maritata, falsità, domestico, and ladro. What do I see? There are big issues in the home. In the home, other members of the family are not very happy with them still living with them because they had hoped to free a room up, and they were planning for other, to use the room in different ways, especially the mother. Since the change, she was hoping for a positive change with the wedding, but she understands that now she's still having to foot the bill for meals and all the rest, and still washing her son's clothes. Okay, so let me end on that note, and we could go on and on even with this 12 cards, but I think you get the message. Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for following me, and I do hope that you enjoy these courses until we see you in Lesson 4. Bye-bye.